Alright guys, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be continuing with our where we left off. If you followed our last video on installation, you should be here right now. You should have your Photoshop open. We're going to continue with our tutorials. I'm not going to be assuming that you know anything in Photoshop. So I'm going to be assuming you are a whole newbie in the whole system. So I'm going to start from the intuitive to the non-intuitive. So I'm just going to go straight to it. I'm going to take everything step by step. So if you knew what I'm doing, you can skip to the next video when it comes out, or you can skip this and wait for the next video when it comes out. Or if it's already out, you can just click on the next button and go to the next one. Or you can just follow along and pick one or two things along the way. Let's get started. I'm going to be talking about how to create new Photoshop document. So I'm going to start with that. So first of all, go to File, click on New. Then this is the dialog box that will appear when you click on New. This is where you set up your Photoshop document, how you want it to be, the size, the resolution, the color mode, the background content, everything. But I'm going to go through this with you. Now this tab is the recent tab. This is where you find the recent documents I've created earlier. The second one is the ones I've saved by myself. I'm going to show you how to do that. You can actually create a document and save that particular preset so that next time you come back, you can just click on it and select it. So you can see when I was working on a calendar table, I had to save the size so that I can always come back to it. This is a square. I always use a square because in these days you will always be making Instagram designs and all of those. So I save the square. Then there is photo. These are Photoshop presets. If you are making a photo, these are different photo sizes. For print, these are different print sizes: later, legal, tabloid. If you're into printing, you will know what all these sizes are. Okay, but this for you now, you just have to know that this is where you can find them. If the person you are designing for says, okay, I'm going to be printing this, you can come here and check. Tell him which size. He will tell you A4, A3. These are the more popular ones. A6, A5, for instance. A4 is 210 by 297 millimeter. Then half of it would be this. Okay, so 148 by 210 millimeter and all that. So the double of this would be A3. So just like that, you can pick any one you want. For example, once I pick A3, everything here adjusts. You see the width adjusts, you see the height, everything and all that. I'm still going to come back to explain some of these things here. Then there is art and illustration, just different sizes. If you're making a web page with Photoshop, this is where you can pick the sizes. If you're a web designer or you want to be, you should take note of this. For making web pages, this is where you create it, and it will give you the resolution of different system sizes and all that. Then for mobile, maybe you are making a design for mobile. Let's say someone says that he wants to make this for this particular thing. Okay, they'll tell you the size of the screen they want to make it for and all that. You can pick it from here. Then for film and videos, YouTube thumbnails and stuff like that, this is where you can see that. If you observe, these ones are measured in pixels, but when you come to print, you notice that Photoshop uses millimeter instead of pixels. When you come to art and illustration, it goes back to pixels and all of that. So it just depends on the need. This one is in inches because photos are majorly measured in inches. That said, I can now come over here. Let me come back to recent. I can now come over here and start showing you what these things are. Now, what I want to show you is how to set a custom design size. So you can enter the size you want here and the width you want here, the height here. This is the unit you want to measure in. So if it is in inches, you do it here, and in millimeters, you do it here, and all of that, centimeters, pixels, and all of that, depending on the specifications you're given for the design. Then this is the orientation: landscape and portrait. Any picture that is standing up is portrait. The one that is lying down is landscape. What I mean by that is, if the height is bigger than the width, then that is a portrait picture. On the other hand, if the width is bigger than the height, that's a landscape picture. So for the layman, if it is standing up it's portrait. If it is lying down, it's landscape. Then this checkbox here is if you want Photoshop to create an artboard for you, okay, you can click this. If you don't click this, it's just going to create a simple Photoshop document with a background and you start working. But why I like to use artboards is that artboard lets me create multiple designs on the same Photoshop document. I'm going to show you when the time comes. But with an artboard, you can have different designs on the same Photoshop document, unlike what would be the case if you didn't use artboard. For now, I'm not going to bother you with all of this. Just leave everything the same. As time goes on, if we have need to touch these things, we're going to look at them in details and all that. But this is just resolution, color mode, and all of that. So just leave everything the same, set your size, and press OK. So in this case, I'm just going to create a square 200 by 200 millimeter, and I'm going to create and set it to be artboard. Now this is 200 by 200. It doesn't have any, it doesn't need to have anyone you set is the same thing, right? Okay, as you can see, it's not even clicking because it's 200 by 200. So you need, if this one was higher, that's when you can switch, right? For instance, if this is 210, right, and then it will switch to landscape. If I click on portrait, 200 will come up to this place, and the 210 will come down to the height. So look at this now, it keeps on switching. So but we are doing 200 by 200, so it doesn't really apply to this. After you have set up your artboard, you press create. Once you click on create, it's going to come up with your document like this, and then we can now start working here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to save a document. So we're going to save this now, and then I'll show you how to open it back again. So to save your document, you come to file and click on save as, right? Or you can do shift control S, right? You can just click this and then save your document. You can decide to save it to cloud. That means to save it to your Adobe Cloud. You can see it says here, cloud documents are saved automatically to Adobe's cloud as you work. For access wherever you are signed into Adobe to Photoshop, in future releases, you'll be able to use them to collaborate with others and all of that. So with this now, you can actually work with people online. So in other words, someone can actually open your documents. They are saying that in other releases. So maybe it's already like that in 2023 now, or 24 version, but I'm using 2020. So as at this point, as the point of this particular software, it was not like that. So you can save this to cloud, but I don't want to save it to cloud storage. So I'm going to just click on save on your computer. So you press save on your computer, and then this one is to save it on your desktop, on your system, so that you can actually open it anytime you like. Pick up any place you want to save it, say desktop. So I'm not going to save it on desktop, so I'm just going to create a folder here that I'm going to call Photoshop tutorial. Okay, Photoshop full tutorial course, right? That's what we are doing. So I'm going to press, and then I'll enter into the folder. I can save it here. So I can say new file on my first document, right? You can save it here. Now in saving this is the format you use, PSD, right? This is the Photoshop format. The readable, this format is the format that is readable by Photoshop. So if you don't use this format, you might actually not be able to open it on Photoshop, or you might not be able to open an editable format. This is the Photoshop editable. There are many other formats that are editable, but this is the default one you would use for it. So for instance, you might be able to edit PSB. This is large document format. This is almost same. It's the same thing as PSD, but this is for large, very large files. So if you start designing, right, and your file starts getting so large, up to 500 MB, 1 gig, Photoshop might switch, will switch to this particular file size and all of that. So they created this for normal sizes. This is if your document is, tremendously large, they're going to switch to this, but just always save as this. I'm going to show you how to export. Assuming you want to be an image, you can save it as PNG or JPG and all of that, but we'll get to that shortly. So for now, select PSD, and then all these ones are other variations of the same, right? PDD, PSDT, and all of that. So you can do that. If you want to save as a copy, which means you want to have another new document, a new document apart from this one you are on. So you're going to save as a copy and all that, or just leave everything the same here and press save. Okay, it asks you for compatibility stuff, then that your document is saved. That's why when you make a change on your system, on your document, let's say you create a shape like this, and you come back to file, you see that Control S is now active, because you can now save your document with just Control S. The next thing is I'm going to show you how to save your document and open it. I've shown you how to save your document. The next thing is now how to open it. So if I close this down, how do I open it again? Now, there are many ways to do that, or let me just show you two. If Photoshop is already open, you come to File, click on Open, right? Open here, and then My First Document. If it doesn't bring you to this place, you can navigate to the right place where you saved it, click on it and press open, or just double click it and your document will be open. On the other hand, if Photoshop is closed, right? Photoshop is closed, you can just head over to where you saved it. So I saved mine on my desktop, Photoshop full course, open it and then double click on it here. This will automatically open Photoshop and open you straight to the file that you opened, that you clicked on. That is it. That is our file, the same file. See it here, My First Document. Okay, that will be it for this particular video. If you've not yet followed this channel, I encourage you to do that to be able to see the next video when it comes out. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next video.